25/8 is in the business of time. We help leaders of small and medium-sized businesses work smarter, not harder, so they feel like they have an extra hour in the day and day in the week. Go from don't know what I don't know to I can't miss this show, as we talk proven strategies, practical tips and insider insights from a diverse range of industry leaders. Make time to grow your capabilities and confidence with 25/8. When you're told what to do, whether that's in strategy, in your marketing, in your tech, or how to grow your business, it can feel safe. Someone else has the answer and you just follow what they say. But the thing is, when you live someone else's answer rather than developing your own, you're giving away your power. You delegate not just the decision, but the thinking, the responsibility, the ownership. In contrast, when you learn to think for yourself, to develop your own growth strategy, ask the right questions, challenge assumptions, you build something far more valuable: agility, confidence, and capacity for decisions now and into the future. Welcome to this episode of Make Time, where I'm going to talk about why building your own ability to think so you become your own business guru will help you get faster and more long-lasting results. I'm your host, Sam, and I'm passionate about helping you and your business thrive by working smarter, not harder. And thank you for joining me in this episode. Whilst I have a few decades of global business experience, I also have a master's of teaching, which helps me understand and apply evidence-based principles to our learning experience. And really, it's about focusing on developing real-world skills. In all of the programs that we build and deliver, I aim to help increase critical thinking skills. Not that these are dormant, it's just that often we get so caught up with the busyness of day-to-day business operations, we forget that we have the skills. And I believe that using skills frequently helps you master them. So what is critical thinking? Critical thinking is the ability to objectively analyze information, evaluate evidence, and form reasoned judgments. It involves questioning assumptions, considering different perspectives, and using logic and reasoning to solve problems and make decisions. It's a disciplined process that goes beyond accepting information at face value to achieve a clear, well-informed conclusion. Critical thinking fosters better decision-making, better self-reflection, and the ability to identify misinformation, really important in today's world, as well as creative problem-solving. A study that was published in the Journal of Intelligence in 2024 found that individuals with higher critical thinking scores experienced fewer negative life events, suggesting that thinking well offers protection from avoidable poor decisions. And the World Economic Forum has identified critical thinking and creativity as two of the top future skills for the workplace. So when you own your thinking, you're better positioned to make better, more informed decisions rather than simply adopting others' decisions as your own. And if I can be blunt, if you're delegating any big decision in your business, be that around your business strategy or your marketing or your tech choices, without gaining the capacity to think them through yourself, you might get results. Maybe you'll find someone who does it for you, but often what happens is you don't get the results you were hoping for. You can't always articulate why. You may blame it on who you delegated it to, but moreover, when it comes to making decisions about what to do in that area in the future, you can't react quickly when things change. You can't diagnose when something no longer works. You're reliant on others. And in business growth, the landscape shifts fast. We all know that in the last 5 years. What worked yesterday may not tomorrow. If you're dependent on someone else's plan or someone else's thinking, you lose agility. You give up a vital advantage thinking for yourself. Research in decision making emphasizes this too. Critical thinking improves resource allocation, risk mitigation, adaptability. These are all things that we want as business leaders. It's easier, though, to say yes to the person who offers you a done for you solution. It's easier to outsource thinking, strategy, tech stack, marketing. But that comfort often comes at the expense of ownership and long-term returns. When you think for yourself, you'll often have to ask yourself uncomfortable questions such as, why am I doing this? What assumptions am I making? What will change if I don't do this now? Is this aligned with what I want, not what someone else wants for me? That's the biggest question. What is it that I want? And that can be uncomfortable, but that discomfort is the signal of learning. It's where you build metacognition, thinking about your thinking, which strengthens your mental muscle. In practice, when you make strategic decisions yourself, you become more responsive. You stop second guessing, you're quicker to act, and you're more likely to get results faster. And that's what 25 aims to help people do. We believe growth isn't about following someone else's template. It's about cultivating your own path, your own clarity, your own decisions. We do that through the development of strategies and plans. A growth strategy isn't a one-size-fits-all. We work with you to understand your business situation, your stage, your context, your aspirations, and then we guide you to craft a strategy that you feel ownership over and know how to implement and adapt if new information is presented. And through our programs, whether it's our industry growth or next level growth or any of our other offerings, we teach you frameworks, tools, and thinking habits. You learn to question assumptions, analyze risks, challenge the status quo, reflect and adapt, because research shows this is what sets high-performing entrepreneurs and businesses and leaders apart. Strategy, marketing, and tech decisions often stall because someone is waiting for the answer. What they don't realize is that you need to be the answer. When you gain the competence and clarity to decide, you stop delaying, you stop outsourcing, you stop wondering what someone else would do, and that leads to faster execution. Business isn't static. The world shifts. What you decide today must set you up for tomorrow's pivot. By investing in your thinking, you're preparing your business to adapt, respond, and evolve. Critical thinking gives you flexibility, resilience, and response capability. Imagine this scenario. You're doing well in business, but things have maybe stalled or you're not sure what the next move is. You question your ability. You think you need to market, and someone says, here's the exact marketing funnel that 10x my business, and you can follow it step by step. You could definitely do that, and it may work for your situation. However, sooner or later, you realize that that funnel doesn't work anymore, or it isn't really aligned to what you do or why you do it or who you're serving. But you don't really know how to fix it other than repeating the same process or continuously experimenting to see what might work until something happens, which takes a lot of your time and resources. Imagine instead that you've developed your own strategy through a program like 25 Aims and asked, is this the right thing to focus on now? Why this funnel? Is this the best use of our resources? Or are there more creative ways in which we can connect with our customers? What behaviors do our clients have? What digital ecosystem supports them? You decide, you own it. You don't have to implement it, but you direct it. You can then iterate because you understand your logic. And when things change, you pivot because you can think for yourself. And that's the difference between following a plan and owning a strategy. Just like I talked about in the last episode about every investment has a consequence, thinking for yourself compounds. Every time you make a strategic decision that you own, every time you analyze, reflect, iterate, you build a muscle. The research on business growth and critical thinking tells us Organizations that embed this thinking are more adaptive, more innovative, more likely to survive disruption. So you could say thinking for yourself is like investing in your decision-making capacity. That investment pays returns, not just in one project, but in every future decision you make. So you could start small this week. Pick one decision you've been outsourcing. Are you comfortable with it? Why? Could you ask 3 questions and form your own view before handing it off? You could reflect. What assumptions are you making about this decision? What consequence might there be if you don't ask them? You could invest time this week to map out one strategic question for your business. You don't need a perfect answer yet, just clarity on what you're deciding and why. If you're ready to build your capacity, your thinking muscle, your growth strategy that you own, 25/8 is here to help, because thriving in today's business world isn't just about knowing what to do. It's about knowing how you think, why you think, and what you choose to do. When you think for yourself, you don't just follow growth, you lead it. We're living in a world overflowing with gurus. They'll take your money to show you exactly how they built their business, the steps, the funnels, the secret formula, and it can be tempting because it promises certainty in a space that often feels uncertain. What worked for them, though, won't necessarily work for you. And if they were really successful doing it, why are they asking you for money now to show them what they did? Your business, your audience, your timing, your capacity, all of it is different. Research in innovation psychology shows that contextual intelligence, the ability to adapt a strategy to your specific environment, is a key predictor of long-term success. When you simply copy someone else's playbook, you bypass that process of adapting and learning. Even more importantly, when too many people follow the same steps, those steps lose their power. Markets evolve, audiences get saturated, the once novel tactic becomes background noise. Following someone else's script might get you movement, but it rarely creates momentum. Being your own business guru, developing your own way of thinking, your own strategy, your own frameworks is far more powerful. That doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't seek help or guidance. In fact, at 25/8, we encourage it, connecting you with mentors with lived experience. Support accelerates learning, but the sequence matters. First, build your own perspective, then seek out experts who can refine, challenge, and strengthen it, not overwrite it. Because when you start from your own understanding, you know what kind of support you actually need, and that makes the help you get far more effective. Our programs don't hand you a rigid 10-step plan. We give you the frameworks, the questions, and the tools to create your own. And that's what makes them transformational. You don't just know more, you think differently. You develop the critical thinking skills and strategic agility to navigate whatever comes next. You stop outsourcing every decision because you've built the confidence to make your own. It's uncomfortable at first, like learning to ride without training wheels, but it's liberating. And as thousands of our learners have discovered, once you start thinking for yourself, you stop waiting for permission. You start moving faster and you start creating real results. What decisions will you make for yourself this week? And hopefully you make the decision to join us again in the next episode. Thanks for listening to Make Time, a business podcast by 25/8. If you like the show, please take a moment to write a review and feedback on what you'd like to hear next. If you never want to miss an episode, hit subscribe or follow on your favourite listening channel. If you want to get even smarter, join our newsletter, community, or take one of our programs. Links down below. See you next time.